this video is going to be on how to represent 3D shapes using 2D drawings, usually called plans and elevations. Okay, so before we look at plans and elevations, we're going to look first at a more common way of representing a 3D shape on a 2D piece of paper, and that is its net. Now, a net of a shape is basically all of the sides unfolded. So a question on your paper might be to recognize the nets of different shapes. So what you could do here is you could quickly pause the video and just in your mind try and work out which shape goes with which net. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at that. Now I'm going to give you a quick little tip on this, and that is to look for all of the different unusual shapes that set these 3D shapes apart from each other and try and see if you can find them in their net. So I'm going to start off with this triangle pyramid here, which we call a tetrahedron. Now that is just made up of triangles, and if you look at all of the nets, there is only one net that has triangles in it, which is this one over here. So that one must match with that one. The cylinder next to it, okay, has circles on the end, so it must be the net that has the circles. The next shape then is what we call a pentagonal prism, because it's a pentagon on the end. And the only net that has pentagons is this one over here. And that finally leaves me with the cuboid, which is made up purely of rectangles, maybe a square in there as well, but that is that net there. Okay, so moving on to plans and elevations. Okay, so what are plans and elevations? Well, these are 2D representations of 3D shapes taken from different views of the shape. So we've got a front elevation, which is what the shape looks like in 2D, looking from the front. We have a side elevation, which is again the shape in 2D, looking from the side. And we have a plan, which is the 2D representation of the shape looking from above. So what we've got to do here is we've got to try and imagine what this shape would look like from these different perspectives. So first off, looking at the front. Well, if I was looking at the front, all I would be able to see was these different faces of the cubes. Well, first I would see that there was a row of 3 on the left. It would go out 3 on the bottom, and then it would go up 2 on the right. Putting in all of the rest of the parts, you can see the front would look a little bit like this. Now, the part on the left is coming out a little bit further than the parts on the right. So to indicate this, we're just going to draw a line to show that these parts are not actually connected here. And then just to make it clear on your paper, because sometimes having a really sharp pencil and these lines can be quite broad, can be quite hard to see, I'm just going to put some hatchings in to fill in this shape. Okay, so the side elevation, I'm going to do exactly the same thing, only this time I'm looking from this left-hand side here. So I'm needing to visualize what this shape looks like from the side. If I was looking from the side, all I could see were these blocks here, these blocks on the side. So again, with a ruler, I'm going to just draw this in. Now, firstly, I know that it is going up as a block of 3 on the left. This time I would only see 2 blocks across, and then it would go up 2 on the right here. Okay, so joining those up, that's what I would see. Now, just remember that these blocks on the left are not on the same level as the blocks on the right, so I'm going to indicate this by drawing a line down the middle here. Again, just to make it clear on your paper, you may want to put some hatchings in to really highlight your side elevation. Okay, so finally the plan. So the plan is looking from above. So again, I'm trying to visualize how this shape would look in 2D looking from above. And I would only see the tops of these blocks here. Now, usually we put the front of the shape facing down the plan. So that means that the shapes on the far right, so that means the shapes furthest to the front are going to be the ones furthest down my grid here. Okay, so I know that starting from the front, I've got one block that is going to be sitting on its own. It's then going to go back 2, and then it's going to go across 3. Okay, joining all of those other points up, you can see it makes this sort of L shape. Now this block on the left here is standing higher than the rest, so I'm going to indicate that by putting a line in. And this block at the front here is standing higher than the other two, so I'm going to put a line in there as well. And again, just to make things a little bit easier to see, I'm just going to put some hatchings in, okay, just to really make it clear what my plan looks like. Okay, so here's one for you to have a go at. So get some squared paper or just make a quick grid up with a ruler. Pause the video and see if you can draw this front, side and plan of this shape. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at that. So I'm going to start off with the front side of this shape. So I'm going to quickly draw on all of the front parts of these blocks. Okay, so hopefully that makes it a little bit easier to see what the shape of this is going to be. So on the left here, it's going to start off with just one block. It's going to go across two, then it's going to go up three. So joining all of those together, I get a sort of L shape here. Now this one block on the left is sitting on its own behind all of the others, so that's going to be indicated by a line. And these two blocks above are also sitting behind the other one, so that's going to be joined up. Okay, so the side, I'm going to just colour in all of the side blocks. See, that's made it slightly easier to tell what this shape is. So I know that I'm going to have 4 blocks on the bottom. Okay, I've got one on the far end here, and as I go in one, this shape goes up 2, and then it goes back down 2, and then across to the other side there. Okay, so the only difference in depth here is this block on the far left, which is slightly in front of all the other ones. So I'm just going to put a line there to indicate that. Okay, so finally we're doing the plan from the top. So again, I'm just going to quickly colour in the tops of all of these blocks. Okay, so remember for the plan, the convention is generally to have the front of the shape nearest the bottom. So we're going to have, firstly starting from the right, a row of 4 going back. It's going to go across 2. And make a sort of L shape. Now the difference in depth is just that row of 3 there, which is going to be just behind that first block. So I'm going to indicate that by having 2 lines there. So another type of question they could ask you is where they give you the front elevation and the plan and ask you to work out the side elevation. Now, if you think about it, the side is going to be this front elevation viewed from that perspective, and it's going to be the plan viewed from that perspective. Remember, the front here is the bit down the bottom. So looking at this plan, we're going to have one block in each of these parts here, but we're going to have a tower of 3 in the middle here. Whereas on the front elevation, we're just going to have one block going back for all of those, but behind this block I've got another block after it. Okay, so starting to draw my side elevation, I can see that the bottom is going to be 2 blocks wide. Now the front is going to be 3 blocks high to get that tower in, and then it's going to come down and have 1 block coming out the back there. Okay, so the 3 blocks is at different depth, seen from the side to the block strutting out the back. So I'm going to indicate that by a line there. Okay, so again, I'm just going to put some hatchings in just to make it that little bit clearer, and that's the side elevation done. So here's one for you to have a go at. So I've given you the front elevation and the plan. See if you can figure out what the side elevation will look like. Okay, so here's one for you to have a go at. I've given you the front elevation and the plan. See if you can figure out what the side elevation is going to look like. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at that. So first off, I'm just going to indicate on my diagram where this side is being viewed from. So from the front and the plan, it's going to be viewed from this left-hand side here. Okay, comparing the front elevation and the plan, you can see that the far left-hand side of this plan, this block is 2 blocks tall. And also this block on the side here at the top is also 2 blocks tall, because that's what it shows from the front elevation. Also on the plan, it shows me that it is only 1 block back of those 2 down the bottom there. Now exactly the same thing for the front elevation. I know that all of these three to begin with here are all going to just be one block. This block is going to go back twice, and this block at the far back there is going to be one. Okay, so the side elevation. First off, it's going to be 2 across and 2 tall. And it's also going to be 2 tall on the other side. So it's actually going to form this sort of square shape. The only thing I need to do is, because the left-hand side is a different depth to the right-hand side, is indicate that by putting a line down there. Okay, so hopefully that's helped you with plans and elevations. Just a extra note to add. Make sure that you're always using a pencil and ruler for this. It's not very forgiving if you do use pen and get it wrong. It's pretty hard to try and correct it if you have done it in pen. So basically, if you do it in pen, you're pitching your hopes on one attempt at this, so make sure you're using a pencil. Okay, have a go at loads of exam questions on this. Practice it because it does come up. Okay, and good luck.